Joseph Winchester
Thomas
Robinson
alive
was
to
a
die
merchant from Waltham,
presents
Massachusetts, who moved to Riverside, California in 1882
J.W.
to develop
Robinson
orange
Company.
groves. Robinson found the quality of goods and service from local merchants lacking and re-entered the retail business, utilizing his contacts on the East Coast to deliver superior merchandise. Joseph Winchester Robinson opened the 1,440-square-foot Boston dry goods store in 1883 at the Allen Block at the southwest corner of Spring and Temple Street, stating that his store offered fine stocks and refined Boston service. In 1891, J.W. Robinson died at the age of 45. His son Henry Winchester Robinson came from Boston to Los Angeles to take over the business, and the Boston dry goods store was renamed the J.W. Robinson Company in honor of its late founder. In 1887, J.W. Robinson Company's Boston dry goods store moved to a new store of around 3,000 square foot in the Jones Block at 171 to 173 Spring Street, considered an adventurous move because at that time the location was far from the central business district of that period. When Robinsons moved again in 1895, Nathaniel Blackstone, brother-in-law of J.W. Robinson, moved into the vacated space and founded Blackstone's Dry Goods, which would become a single-location downtown department store in its own right. Mr. C.W.R. Ford, who had owned his own wholesale store at 522 Market Street in San Francisco, married Robinson's widow and took over as president of the Robinsons Company. From 1880 to 1890, the population of Los Angeles doubled from 50,395 to 102,479 people. In January 1895, the J.W. Robinson Company, which by that time advertised simply as the Boston Store, announced that after only 8 years at Spring Street, more spacious quarters were necessary and that a new 4-story Boston dry goods store building was under construction at 239 South Broadway. It was designed by Theodore Eisen and Sumner Hunt, designer of the Bradbury Building. On October 1, 1895, Robinsons opened a new store. The new building was promoted at the time as a sign that Los Angeles had come into its own as a metropolitan center and that it was no longer necessary to make annual pilgrimages to San Francisco to obtain a wide selection of fine merchandise. The front was Grecian in style of light cream brick and terracotta. It featured an elaborate Corinthian-style cornice crowning the facade. Above it rose a high parapet broken by a high-relief entresol panel. All of this was surmounted by elaborate acroteria. 60-foot-long, 19.5-foot-high plate glass windows illuminated the ground floor. Just above the second floor, the facade was colonial style, and above that, Doric-style features. The building had passenger and freight elevators and skylights illuminated through to the ground floor. The first ground floor and part of the basement were devoted to retail, with a central cashiers and wrapping desk. Offices were also on the ground floor. Receiving and shipping were also in the basement, while the 2 upper floors housed the main part of the manufacturing and wholesale departments, which moved down from Temple Street. The second floor housed various merchandise departments, areas to display delicate fabrics under gas-lighted desks with stationery for customers to write, and the ladies' restrooms. In 1908, the store opened up a 5-story extension at the back fronting on Hill Street. The architect was Theodore Eisen. Los Angeles continued to grow, so did Robinson's business, and in 1914 it announced its construction of a new $1 million 7-story flagship store with 400,000 square feet of floor space along the south side of West 7th Street, stretching along the complete block between Grant and Hope Streets. Frederick Noonan and William Richards of Dodd & Richards were the architects. The store opened on September 7, 1915. The building was expanded to the south in 1923 at a cost of $900,000. Dodd & Richard architects for a total of 623,700 square feet. In 1934, the building was remodeled for between $100,000 to $200,000 to a restrained modernistic exterior, shedding some its more exuberant Art Deco features and adding more parking facilities. Robinsons was the largest store of what became a new upscale 7th Street shopping district to the southwest of the concentration of department stores along Broadway, with Ville de Paris, later B.H. Dias, Coulter's, Haggerty's and Desmond's opening stores nearby. The Robinsons store closed in 1993 and the building 600 West 7th Street currently houses telecommunications offices and ground floor retail. Associated Dry Goods bought Robinsons in 1955. The term used by at that time the chain's sales were $32.5 million annually, with $12 million coming from the Beverly Hills branch. Unlike competitors Bullock's, Desmond's, I. Magnin and Silverwoods in the 1930s and 1940s, Robinsons did not establish branches in the outlying upscale retail districts such as Wilshire Boulevard, Pasadena, or Westwood, except for a small Palm Springs shop at the Desert Inn that was originally a Bullock's. Only starting in 1952 did it open its first of what would become about 30 branches in Beverly Hills. The second Robinsons store was opened in Beverly Hills in 1952 on a triangular plot at the corner of Wilshire Boulevard at Santa Monica Boulevard, across the courtyard from the Beverly Hilton Hotel. A small mid-century modern style open and winter-only store followed in Palm Springs. A store on Colorado Boulevard in Pasadena followed. The store in Pasadena was the last freestanding store as the concept of the shopping mall began to take off. The first stores adjacent or connected to shopping malls opened in Panorama City in the San Fernando Valley, Anaheim Plaza on Upper State Street in Santa Barbara and Glendale. By the time J.W. Robinsons was dissolved into Robinsons May, there were almost 30 stores across Southern California, from San Diego to Palm Desert to Santa Barbara. Associated Dry Goods, a group of independently operated department store chains, bought Robinsons in 1957. Starting in 1972, ADG borrowed the Robinsons name to open a separate division of department stores, Robinsons of Florida, on Florida's Gulf Coast, and Orlando, based in St. Petersburg, Florida. It had been founded in the 1970s as an attempt by ADG to emulate its upscale J.W. Robinsons stores on the fast-growing Florida Gulf Coast. This newly created division grew to 10 locations. May sold this division in 1987 to Maison Blanche. 7 of the former Robinsons of Florida locations were subsequently sold by Maison Blanche to Dillard's * in 1991, while the other 3 became Gayfers, which in turn was bought out by Dillard's in 1998. May Department Stores bought Associated Dry Goods and with it Robinsons in 1986. In 1989, May dissolved its Scottsdale, Arizona-based Goldwater's division, folding it into Robinsons, and its Phoenix area stores were rebranded as Robinsons. The double-barreled Robinsons May name was created in 1993 when the former May Company California was consolidated with their corporate sibling J.W. Robinsons. May Department Stores had acquired Robinsons with its 1986 acquisition of Associated Dry Goods Corporation. J.W. Robinsons had been acquired by Associated Dry Goods in 1957, while May Company California had been established in 1923 when May acquired the then-named A. Hamburger & Sons, founded in 1881 by Asher Hamburger. Both chains had operated exclusively in Southern California until 1989, when May Department Stores had dissolved its Goldwater's division based in Scottsdale, Arizona, and apportioned its Phoenix Metropolitan and Las Vegas, Nevada stores between the still separate J.W. Robinsons and May Company California. In 1997, Robinsons May absorbed the Tucson area locations of sister division Foley's, which were themselves the remains of the former Levy's and Sanger Harris stores. Robinsons May was further consolidated with Portland, Oregon-based Meyer & Frank in 2002, which retained its individual nameplate but merged its primary headquarters into Robinsons Mays in North Hollywood. On August 30, 2005, operational control of the Robinsons May stores was assumed by Macy's West. The Meyer & Frank stores were transferred to Macy's Northwest. 15 of its California stores were offered for sale under an agreement with the California State Attorney General, though Federated has retained several of the stores covered by the agreement since satisfactory offers from competitors were not received, including stores at Woodland Hills and Northridge. During 2006, the majority of the Robinsons May stores were converted to the Macy's or Bloomingdale's nameplate, either as replacements for existing stores' new locations or as expansions of existing locations. prime locations at South Coast Plaza Costa Mesa and Fashion Valley Mall San Diego, where Macy's already had stores, were shuttered in early 2006 and refurbished as Bloomingdale's locations. The change of store signs occurred on September 9, 2006. Already existing Macy's locations in Arizona and Inland Empire regions relocated from their existing spots to Robinsons May. The trademark for Robinsons May was bought by Strategic Marks in 2012 and is currently owned by them to this day, with plans to revive the brand in the future.
It's Robinson's Summer Sale and Clearance. You'll save 34% on the luxury of 100% silk jacquard dresses. Save 34% on Robinson's own silk cam shirts in 14 colors. Save 33% during our semi-annual Lobella sale. And save 33% on our summer collection by Carol Little for Saint-Tropez West. It's all part of the Summer Sale and Clearance happening now at...
If you have any fond memories, please indicate it at the comments below. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and like.